Parthos. I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my September TBR list. We're getting into fall sweater weather. I'm so excited. When I think about fall, so obviously we're getting into like spooky season, right? And I didn't want to start out September reading all of the spooky books yet. But when I think about fall, I think about like school, but also kind of getting into those like mysteries, some darker stories. So that's kind of what I had in mind when I picked out my TBR for this month. So the way that I kind of like to read, because this is not my full-time job. I do have a full-time job, so I don't have a ton of time throughout the day to read. So what I typically like to do is I like to choose a YA novel that I can kind of knock out in a week. And I also like to choose something that's a little bit heavier, so like maybe more of an adult novel that I can take my time with and maybe read like a chapter or two a day, or more if I'm really digging it, like the one that I'm reading right now. So I have 4 YA novels, one for each week in September, and then I also have one adult novel that I'll share with you. I'm going to start with the adult novel first. It is not a fantasy novel, which most of what I read is fantasy, but so when I was in high school, I read this book called A Separate Peace, and it was amazing. I loved it. Oh, we had so many good discussions about that. So I bought, like immediately after reading that book, I bought the sequel, Peace Breaks Out, and I never read it. I did the same thing with the story The Chosen. I have the sequel on my bookshelf that I've never read. So this, remembering the first book, and if you've never read it, I highly recommend it. It's about this boys' boarding school, and it's about their experience with, there's a war going on, and just kind of a coming of age novel. So I thought it was really, really good. So that story kind of it started off in kind of the fall, like there was a lot of fall, like beginning of the school year vibes. So I'm hoping that the sequel kind of gives me the same sort of vibes. So I'm going to be reading, this is my adult novel for the month. It's not very big. It's pretty short. It's less than 200 pages, but there's going to be a lot to really like dig into and think about. I'm very excited to finally actually read this book. So then getting into the 4 YA novels that I picked for this month, starting with A Lesson in Vengeance. First of all, and I just noticed this when I was picking it up to film, there's like cobwebs on the cover, so I think it kind of fits with the mood that I was really going for. But I don't know a ton about the plot, and I'm very excited to kind of get in and see why people are enjoying this book so much. Next up, another one that I know very little about, but I think it kind of goes with those like mystery, kind of like thriller sort of vibes, and that is The Maidens. I have heard a lot of good reviews so far, but the first line of the summary says that Edward Fosca is a murderer, so it kind of fits with that whole theme that I was looking for. So I am very excited to dig into this one as well. Next, I do know a little bit more about this one, but still not very much. I have Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I have not read anything, this is probably a horrible thing to say, but I've not read anything by V.E. Schwab, but I have a lot of her stuff, and just looking at, this was either an Owlcrate or an Illumicrate edition. I unfortunately don't, Illumicrate it says on the back, but just the artwork on the inside was kind of giving me like fall boarding school kind of mystery vibes. So very excited to get into this one as well. I've heard a lot of great things about this book in particular. It seems like it's pretty short, so I'm hoping that I'll get invested pretty quickly and just fly through it. And then I definitely need to read more of her work because I've heard nothing but praise for it. The last book I have for September is Small Favors. My husband got me this. Actually, he got me this and The Maidens last year for my birthday, I think. He just got me a big stack of books that were on my Amazon wish list. And he was very interested in this one too, so maybe I can convince him to read it as well. But I've definitely heard that this is more on like the thriller side, so I'm excited to really dive into this one as well and get those spooky kind of vibes for the fall. So that's everything that I plan to read in September. It seems like it's a bit of an ambitious list, but I hope that I'll be able to get through everything at least by, you know, the first like couple of days of October, and then I'll really get into books that are very specifically about like scary things. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what's on your TBR for September, and if you've read any of the books that I plan on reading, let me know your thoughts on those books. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye!